Hey, Status Steve, please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. Completely free. Well, blood in, blood out. Just thinking about the England game, England performance yesterday against Slovenia. Listen, I think we did really well. I think in terms of possession, we had loads of possession. Listen, they had every single man behind the ball. They needed a draw in order to go through. They were steadfast to that draw. They achieved it. But on another day, gosh, we would nicked it. If we got one goal, then they would have to come out and we probably would have got a lot more. All the potential was there. Very impressive Cole Palmer coming on the right. Saka did his little bit as well, not taken away from him. I thought Kane run his socks off. I think Foden actually stuck to the left. He is, after all, a left-footed player. There were some things to be, quite optimistic about. You know what I mean? I think if we could have performed better in the first two games, we'd look at that last game yesterday as a professional performance, and in some ways it was. But I think in terms of where we were and where we're trying to get to, in terms of some fluidity, some kind of plan, some kind of cohesion, being safe at the back, I think that what he aimed for, he being Gareth Southgate, was a match where we controlled possession. We just didn't give it away willy-nilly. So yeah, the build-up, if you're going to have that type of cautious approach, which is not awful, is going to be slower. You know what I mean? So there wasn't really those opportunities in transition to get behind them because they were always had loads of men behind the ball. You know what I mean? And with a safety first mindset, because you try not to lose a game in a knockout competition, it can sometimes be slow. But I think the balance wasn't that far off. Come on, let's be honest, England fans. We want to smash every team. With the possession we had yesterday, that could have happened. We had people getting on the edge of the box and doing some good things. I don't want to blame Rice, I don't single him out, but one of his shots on the edge of the box, bearing in mind he's meant to be in front of our defence, but finally he found himself in attacking position. We see him bury those all the time. You know what I mean? Or get very close. And he was very close. We got lots of players who can do exactly that. And that's why we're the team that nobody would want to face. Teams may well feel they're confident against us, where, England's confident against them too. Relatively. I mean, so we got Holland, the Netherlands. Next, if anybody's watched that Austria game and they lost it, they were a shambles. So, and maybe for them, they wake up the next day and I'm just thinking about our next opponents. They'll wake up the next day and they'll be on it. They're going to need to be. They were just half a step behind. Defensively completely open. It's kind of traditional Dutch football in some ways, in that they have, but without the creativity up front either. So they would have the gaps at the back, and they lacked that creativity and that drive up front too. We should win. Well, I'm not putting any money on it, but we should definitely win overall. If we play the way that we did, and we can control possession. Of course, it's not going to happen against a much stronger team in Holland. But I'd say if they play the way that they did, then gosh, the gaps that we're going to have, we've got the players to exploit it. And again, I keep remembering that, to keep reminding myself that Foden does actually have a left foot. He's left-footed. You know what I mean? He just likes to come in off the right-hand wing or in the middle to whip it in with his left, sorry. But he is an actual natural left-footed player who's not used to playing on the left, even though Pep does play him on the left. But it's in that kind of floating triangular system where he can move about. And obviously he's always going to choose to move into the middle where we can have some impact and put people through. That's where he gets his creativity. And we're definitely taking away from him, having him as a left winger, because he doesn't have the pace to get past somebody in the wing. So he needs to be the creative force in the middle, where he has enough pace to get past people, and then he can draw people in, can either take them on or play people through. That is why you have Foden there. Which moves me on to Bellingham. There's been a lot of chat about putting Bellingham, basically replacing Alexander-Arnold with Bellingham. Now, Alexander-Arnold, the role is to play in front of the defence. Right. That's number one. Now, if Trent Alexander-Arnold's struggling, how is Bellingham going to do? Bellingham's an attacking player. But he's not only an attacking player, he's a floating attacking player. How is he going to play in front of the defence any better than what we think is the value in that position, even though he's a great player and he should be played on the right wing, of Trent Alexander-Arnold. So let's drop that right now. So we need somebody else in alongside Rice, right? But it's not Bellingham. It's not Bellingham. I think that we are sacrificing Foden in order to have Bellingham. We're sacrificing Foden because at the end of the day, if you want these two world-class players playing, of course you're going to put the left-footed player on the left. You know what I mean? So maybe it's the lucky, unlucky thing for Foden. But Bellingham is not performing. But I think he's too big a name to drop right now. The only position I'd think of having him is like Havertz for Arsenal, where effectively he's an attacking midfielder. You know what I mean? So you'd have to drop Kane, which I'm not advocating, and put Bellingham in that position where we can float and roam and get on the end of things for Foden to put him through. But that is a brave move. That would be a very brave move. And I think in terms of the ego of being part of the Galacticos and being a 20-year-old and probably the face of British football potentially going forwards, I don't think Southgate wants to do that. You know what I mean? Which sticks him where he is, more or less, and kind of inhibits England, because I don't think he's shown enough kind of attacking dynamism or edge or explosiveness to do a lot in the position that he was in. Because even in that first game where he scored that goal, that was not a complicated goal. It was a decent run. It's a comfortable header, and he scored the goal. Fair enough. But that is not the reason to change the whole system around the player. There was something else I was going to say. Okay, so Bellingham playing in place of Kane. It may well come to in another video. But the long story short is, I think in terms of a training type of exercise, attack against defence, England will benefit from that game yesterday. I'm not saying they're going to destroy anybody, but they can definitely get past Netherlands playing anything like they have done the last few games. And I know we've been awful, but I think on a balance of talents and the adjustments and the improvements that England has made in that game against Slovenia. I mean, I say Holland lost that. The Netherlands lost that game against Austria. I watched it. Too many open doors. I'm not saying they don't have attacking players, but they could score 1 and concede 4 or 5. Yeah, anyway, reasons to be optimistic. And I can understand the cynicism, just to quickly round off, I can understand the cynicism against fans. You know, front-loaded all that negative energy from those first 2 boring games. But you've got to look at each game in isolation, especially the most recent game. You've got to have that recency effect in that I think they did try and make some adjustments, and they did make adjustments. They did hold on to possession, and they did show some attacking intent, and they were sound enough at the back. Of course, when a team doesn't want to come forward, you know, it's kind of relatively easy to do that. And I think there is a thing, people keep on saying about England when they go ahead, that's the time we were most likely to concede. But I think the thing is, when the teams are attacking us, that pushes us back and we fall back into a box. It's not necessarily that we go ahead. It's that the other team goes in with a more attacking intent. That's what we don't cope with. So against the better teams, they're going to come with that attacking intent from the start. I think that's what we're struggling with. But hopefully we can overcome it. Anyway, I'm really enjoying the event overall. I think England stunk out the first 2 games, and I think the last game wasn't really that bad. It was Slovenia didn't really come to play. They came to block. They achieved their goal. We achieved our goal. We're top of the group. I think we will get through the next game. Stick with us. Please like, subscribe. That is Steve, and I'm out.